Well, the gas prices are going up because of the actions taken by President Biden and our own governor. He's making it more difficult for individuals, especially in Kern County, to be able to drill for oil. They're shutting down the pipelines in America, but allowing them to go for Russia. And what happens is pipelines are some of the safest ability to move energy from an environmental place and security. They shut a pipeline down and wouldn't let one be built on the East Coast. Now, Russian natural gas is being shipped into America. And this is a very sad thing because America is the Saudi Arabia of natural gas, and it's very clean. But American natural gas is 42% cleaner than Russian natural gas. And it's continuing to be the difficulty from, we're watching the Biden administration, because now he's asking OPEC to produce more and not allowing America, when America was energy independent just a short year or two ago. And we can continue to be that to keep the oil price lower, more environmentally sound production within America. And it's part of all the above, which we know in Kern County from wind, solar, hydroelectric, and natural gas and oil. I don't see how we bridge that gap today to get rid of a combustion engine. It's just not there for the power and others. But what he's doing, and if you listen to the White House, they're actually praising raising the gasoline price, thinking it would get people to make that movement. But you and I both know, especially in communities, may it be Kern County or others, the people that hurt the most are middle class and lower income, where they have to drive further to work. In his Build Back Better, he gives a tax incentive to people who make $800,000 so they can buy a Tesla. But you can only get the benefit if you buy it from a union shop. Why do you punish something? Because we're not going away from the combustion engine today. So now it makes us more dependent on other countries. California gets the majority of their oil, not from California, but from Ecuador and other countries like that. When we can produce it in Kern County, and then you have a governor and a White House who shuts down the production when it comes to federal lands and others, that means jobs in America go away. Jobs in other countries are being created with American taxpayer money, and Americans pay more for it. And the answer is, the president just gave it on CNN the other day. He said he can't solve it, and he looks to OPEC to help us. That is not the America I know, because what we've been able to do in the last couple of years, lower our emissions in America greater than any other country, become energy independent, and make us economically stronger. And remember what else it does when we become energy independent. The world is stronger. So the Middle East does not have power. Countries that dislike our way of life do not have power. America can take care of themselves. Just as we look out for this supply chain problem, all those ships sitting out off our coast, why aren't we producing those products here and shipping them to other countries? If we had lower energy costs, if you had a lower tax proposal, and in this Build Back Better, you raise taxes, you raise royalties, they do a methane tax, a natural gas tax, so that's jobs in our own community being lost. That's even your milk price going up because the dairy farmers have to pay a tax on every dairy cow they have. This is not the way to go about doing it, especially when China does nothing and they're the biggest producers, and we live in an earth where it will affect us as well. The poll was very concerning to all Americans because we've watched in 10 months the amount of damage being done, and it's based upon policy. Let's just walk through some of them. The first biggest concern people had was the economy and inflation. More than 60% of Americans understand where this is coming from. The Democrats, when they spent $2 trillion and they gave the incentive for people not to go back to work, to actually make more by staying home. Republicans believe we should help small businesses, give them the benefit and the tax benefit to be able to get up and running, especially after this pandemic, give the incentive for people to go back to work. The other thing that we found was the border, that the president in his executive order has opened up the border. More than 1.4 million people have come across that border from more than 160 countries. We're literally catching people on the terrorist watch list. But now this administration wants to supply to each individual, if they were separated, $450,000 of a hardworking taxpayer's money. And in this bill, Build Back Better, he would give amnesty to 10 million illegal people who cross the border. We believe you have to secure the border and change the immigration system to actually make it work. When we look at education, it's not something that we want to nationalize, but we fundamentally believe different than the Democrats. We believe parents should have a say in their education system. We don't believe the Justice Department should be investigating parents who go to a school board just to ask questions, even when a father came there because unfortunately his poor daughter got molested and raped based upon a policy within a school district. We also look to becoming energy independent. We don't look to OPEC to produce, we look to America. We think we could become energy independent at the same time with a cleaner America. We believe that you could capture CO2 from the air, actually use it going back underground to lift up the natural gas and oil. The technology is there. We believe in 1 trillion trees, that each single American can plant 3 trees. What that does, a tree is the lungs of the earth. It takes in CO2, keeps the carbon, and releases the oxygen. We believe in managing our forests so we don't continue to have these fires throughout. We also believe just throwing more money at homelessness, we found that has been a failure. And again, the thousands of dollars even spent in our own community, while only helping a few individuals, that we can give a greater incentive to change that. And lo and behold, we believe in not defunding the police. We've watched what has happened there with these liberal policies. We believe in providing more money for more training, more body cameras, because we're now watching, even in San Francisco, Walgreens closing. We've watched in our own community from the homeless and the crime continuing to rise. So we believe in safe streets. We believe in safe communities. We believe in an economy that's strong. We believe in America becoming energy independent. And we don't think by raising taxes on individuals, and especially not hiring 87,000 new IRS agents to target Americans who make $28 or spend $28 a day, we don't think that's the proper way to run the country. And in the latest polling, it shows the Democratic policies are failing us, bringing us inflation, which is a tax on all Americans. Well, let's first understand why the Democrats are doing it. This is where the Democrats believe they can pay for their new bill. It is the place that they get the most revenue. So they believe if they hire 87,000 IRS agents and they have your bank, your credit union, your fintech, have to report if anybody is a member of that, that spends or has $10,000 in a year, which equals $28 a day. So if you make $28 a day, or if you fill your car up, you get some coffee and you buy lunch, you're one that they're going to target. And 87,000, think about the size of that. That's larger than the population of Scranton, Pennsylvania, which is the president's hometown. Their job will be to go and look at Americans and what their score comes back at, that they're going to generate billions of dollars because they think these people are not paying enough tax. I don't think that's the role of the Internal Revenue Service. And less than 10% of Americans even itemize. So that means they're going after almost all Americans when they lower that number so low. I think there's a better use. Don't raise our taxes. Don't think you have to take more from Americans. Give incentives for Americans to start more small businesses and produce more products in America. I think that's a much better idea. Well, every 10 years, you take the census and you got to level out the playing field for all the congressional seats. For the first time in history, California is actually losing the seat because our population didn't grow based upon all these Democrat policies. Kern County, I'd love to keep Kern County as one, but you have a Voter Rights Act district where you have to create a minority majority district, which is next to mine, which is David Valadao's. These lines are early. It's by an independent commission. I think in the next couple of weeks, we'll get a better understanding, but I would think based upon the population and others, the majority of the district should pretty much stay the same, where Kern County would have 2 members of Congress. My district, our district currently could move. It looks like it goes pretty far up north. I'd like to make it more contiguous. Within right now, we have Kern County, a little LA County, and Tulare County. I strongly support David Valadao. David Valadao sits in a district that's a very Democratic district. David Valadao sits on the Appropriations Committee. He works hard for the water. to bring down into Kern County. He is a strong voice for Kern County. You might not agree with somebody 100% of the time, but David Valadao agrees with his district, at least close to that, where he works so hard for them. But the one thing I will say, when you have Adam Kinzinger not running again, it's because the Democrats just did redistricting in Illinois, and they used gerrymandering to not give him a district, not just him, but 2 Republican districts. They used all the political power of Democrats to try to hold on to power. So Adam had no district to run it. It was the Democrats that took Adam Kinzinger out, not Republicans. There's already 13 Democrats who have announced they're not running for reelection. That was before redistricting. You had from the former DCCC chair, the chairman of budget committee. And I think it goes a little along that poll that you mentioned earlier from NBC, that it looks as though they won't have a good election. You look at the competition in Virginia for a governor's race, that Joe Biden won a state by 10 points. If that's the case, Democrats who are in safe seats are now in competitive seats. It's as though these first 10 months, even the presidential approval, the biggest movement we've seen in modern history, that their policies are really bad and the country is upset. So it's less likely that they would to run because they don't want to lose. With redistricting, in every 10 years, there will be districts where members get pitted to one another, or a district goes away. Some states lose seats. Illinois lost a seat. So what they did, they took it away from Adam. California loses a seat. So you'll find it looks as though it goes out of in LA County. There'll probably be a Democrat or 2 that either run for a different office or retire. That happens on a natural basis in each cycle.